Yo, this is Ace Banton in SAT building, baby. You're watching SAT Telecom, that's the #1 choice. Boom!
Whenever the iron play, I'll be there. Wherever the steel band play, I'll be there. Anytime it's carnival, yo, festival, bacchanal, behind the big truck, down the road, everybody, they know that I'll be there. Yo, this is Mr. Challenge, you're watching SAT TV, the people's choice.
Welcome to SAT TV News. I am Shanna Esprit, your presenter. In our top stories today, Dominica participates in Global Water Partnership Workshop, drought and tropical storms hinder food supply in Haiti, Shanghai closes poultry markets over bird flu, and in sports, several matches scheduled for Dominica Cricket Association competitions. Details of these and other stories will follow.
SAT Telecoms. And I'm a tutuni. Big up, one love.
It's only when we unite as one, then a lot more thing can be done. Stop this useless fight down, killing out your own brother, man. Time we rise and all realize we have an enemy in disguise, standing right in the mix of you. Got to know who is who. This is Derek Rapiters and you're watching SAT TV. That's what I have, SAT TV. SAT TV, that's the way to go. Rah! To the world. Ooh diddy, ooh diddy, ooh diddy.
Hard work certainly pays off. As the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health, Mrs. Helen Roy, says, there was a decline in the number of amputees as a result of diabetes in 2012. Mrs. Roy stated this decline is as a result of the hard work of the Ministry of Health, the Dominica Rotary Club, and the Dominica Diabetes Association.
In 2011, in collaboration with some of our partners, namely the Dominica Rotary Club and the Dominica Diabetes Association, the Ministry of Health established a diabetic food training program. This program focused on reducing the number of amputations due to diabetes. Healthcare workers, non-health workers, health-allied workers, diabetics, the caregivers, and pedicurists were trained on the management and prevention of diabetic food. I am pleased to report, and I think the minister would have been happy to report, that the number of amputations declined from 35 to 27, that is from 2011 to 2012.
In addition, she said this decline only be contributed to the improved knowledge and skills the participants acquired from the intensive training program. Mrs. Roy pointed out that the participants need to be commended for their efforts, especially as they worked at a district level to establish a community and personal initiative to ensure the project continues. She said the Ministry of Health is committed to this cause as they recently initiated a chronic care project that seeks to promote the quality of life of persons with non-communicable disease such as diabetes. This project, she said, will also focus on promoting the self-management of diabetes and hypertension in all 7 districts in Dominica that will aid in reducing deaths and disability caused by the 2 main causes of death, diabetes and hypertension.
This policy will address the risk factors for these diseases, which includes tobacco and alcohol consumption, unhealthy diets, and physical inactivity. And I am delighted also to report that government has taken a number of proactive measures to address the NCD epidemic. As a result of government's interest in the well-being of the citizens of Dominica and in support of the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, an increase in tax was applied on tobacco products from 45% to 75% in the fiscal budget.
Mrs. Roy says in 2014, the Ministry of Health will conduct the STEPS to Behavioral Risk Factor Survey aimed at identifying trends in non-communicable disease and risk factor prevalence. Although much has been accomplished, She said there is a lot more work to be done, and as such, the ministry will continue to build strong relationships with non-health sectors to include gender-based groups, the church, the Ministry of Education, and Agriculture, among others. In other stories, the Caribbean Court of Justice is a better final court of appeal for Dominica than the Privy Council. This was the topic for debate at the Public Service Union on Thursday, April 4th, between the University of the West Indies Open Campus and the Dominica State College. The University of the West Indies Open Campus, represented by Ms. Abigail Dura and Ms. Cornelia Charles, on the proposing side succeeded against the Dominica State College by 23 points. Both teams had a challenging debate on their respective sides. The UWI pair achieved 270 points, while the DSC, represented by Ms. Jose Thomas and Mr. Lyndon August, scored 27 points respectively. Ms. Dura, who is pursuing a BSc in Management Studies at UWI, was awarded Best Speaker. Here is a look at Ms. Dura's presentation.
The Caribbean Court of Justice, henceforth to be referred to as the CCJ, according to Politics of the Caribbean Community by political scientist Anthony Payne, is two courts in one. It is a trade court in the sense that it has the role of resolving disputes between members of the CARICOM Treaty, and it is also an appellate court for the Anglophone Caribbean. It is this appellate court that we will mostly be referring to this evening. The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, henceforth referred to as Privy Council, defines itself in its self-titled publication in the year 2000 as a final court of appeal for the Commonwealth territories which have retained the appeal to Her Majesty in other matters.
Ms. Dura said the CCJ will contribute to a uniformed jurisprudence for the region by providing legislature that is relevant and unique to the region. She stressed that creating a federal court system will provide an important building block for a strong regional integration movement which will serve to enhance the effectiveness of CARICOM. Ms. Jose Thomas, on the opposing side, argued that the Privy Council is more capable of managing the legal affairs of the Court of Dominica.
The function of a court of appeal, according to our constitution, is to appeal judgments of district courts. It is the last resort to contest a judgment already passed that an individual might find has an error that can be properly argued. 2. The objective of the Caribbean Court of Justice, according to the official website www.caribbeancourtofjustice.org, provide the Caribbean community an accessible, fair, efficient, innovative, and impartial justice system built on jurisprudence reflective of our history, values, and traditions, whilst maintaining an inspirational, independent institution.
Ms. Thomas associated with CCJ to the Titanic ship for emphasis that the Privy Council is more suitable for court matters. She said, "We all know how the Titanic ship ends." The judges for the debate were Mrs. Wynan Adrian Roberts, Ms. Dion Dura, and Mr. Nigel Lawrence, who judged based on use of evidence, soundness of arguments, organization of material, effectiveness of delivery, and summation. In other stories, with the aim working toward a water-secure Caribbean, the Global Water Partnership held its 8th annual general meeting at the Fort Young Hotel on Friday, April 5th. The objective is to seek to bring about improved and enhanced management in the water sector throughout the region. Mr. Bernard Etinoff, General Manager of Dominica Water and Sewage Company Limited, said DOWASCO has had a long-standing relationship with the GWPC.
The GWPC objective of strengthening the management of the region's water resources through capacity building in institutions involved in the water sector and advocacy for the sector throughout the region is very well known. Many of the activities undertaken thus far are critical and very necessary here in the Commonwealth of Dominica as we move forward. DOWASCO has benefited directly from the work of GWPC, and in 2008, with collaboration with other partners, facilitated a workshop right here at the Fort Young Hotel, at which participants gained a greater appreciation for the concept of Integrated Water Resource Management, IWRM.
Mr. Etino feels the work of the GWPC is both current and relevant and should be encouraged and supported within the region. Mr. Trevor Thompson, chairman of the GWPC, said, "We need to recommit ourselves to the good management of the Caribbean water resources."
The fulfillment of the basic human needs, our environment, socio-economic development, and poverty reduction are all heavily dependent on water. And most of the Caribbean islands has adequate water supplies. But the water challenges that we face are likely to get worse.
Mr. Thompson said, based on the weather patterns, wet countries will get wetter and dry countries drier. Due to this, we should not take water for granted.
But too many of our constituents take water for granted, and the issue of conservation of the resource is not keeping pace with demands. The result is increasing pressure on the service providers in order to satisfy the increasing demands by the consumers. And a lot of this demand is based on lifestyle changes.
Mr. Davis later, on behalf of Honorable Reginald Ostry, Minister of Lands, Housing, Settlements and Water Resource Management, said, "We should be aware of the effects of climate change. We in the Caribbean are not immune to the challenges which threaten our water resource."
I note that Global Partnership's vision is for a water-secure world, very profound. Its mission is to support sustainable development and management of water resources at all levels, while the integrated water resource management is the coordinated development and management of water, land, and related resources in order to maximize economic and social welfare without compromising the sustainability of ecosystems and the environment.
Integrated Water Resource Management believes challenges faced more and more by countries in their struggle for social economic development are increasingly related to water. In more news, although Dominica experienced a decline in cruise ship arrivals for the 2012 to 2013 cruise season, the country is expected to benefit from an increase for the 2013 to 2014 cruise ship season, according to a top tourism official. This is according to Chief Education Officer of the Dominica Air Seaport Authority, DASPA, who is also the chairman of the Discover Dominica Authority, Mr. Benoit Badwell.
There are 37 additional calls expected to be made by Carnival Corporation vessels, and I repeat, Carnival Corporation vessels, from 39 calls this season to 76 calls in 2013-14. The increase in calls by the Carnival Corporation vessels when compared to the previous season, which ends in April of 2013, will register a 94.9% increase for the next cruise season. Again, I say will register a 94.9% increase for the next cruise season 2013. That is, we are moving from 39 calls in relation to Carnival Corporation vessels to 77 calls. So one has to look at the amount of work being done in that area.
In terms of passengers in 2013, he said the Carnival Corporation owned vessels will move 165,402 passengers as compared to the current season of 97,826 passengers, an increase of 97.4% or 65,576 more passengers. Mr. Badwell noted P&O Cruises moved to 9 calls this year. However, they will increase to 21 calls in the new season, which is significant for Dominica.
Royal Caribbean as well will increase the number of calls for the next cruise season by 11 calls, which will make their total 47 calls. This will represent 30.6% increase in the number of calls to the island when compared to 36 calls for for this season 2012-13. So in fact, we see that there is a certain level of commitment in terms of the cruise vessels coming to Dominica and their commitment to Dominica, given the kind of work that was put in terms of the priority site, in terms of the things that Dominica is doing as it relates to the infrastructure that is being put down. Well over $300 million was spent in terms of road improvement.
He said following discussions, the cruise lines indicated that Dominica is forward in terms of its approach and the way business is conducted. It is projected that there will be a 39.2% growth, or 86,445 additional cruise passengers visiting Dominica for the next cruise season as compared to the present season. The chairman of DDA noted a total of 207 cruise calls are expected for the season of 2013 to 2014, an increase of 50 additional cruise calls, or 31.8% increase as compared to 157 this season. He said this could not have been accomplished without a lot of hard work and dedication to the tourism industry.
The average spend for cruise passengers is about $50 US. And if you were to look at an increase of 86,445 additional cruise passengers, it could mean clearly $4.7 million US more in terms of earnings for Dominica the next cruise season, if we were to go just by the Brea statistics and the numbers. So in fact, we are looking for a very promising 13-14 season, and the work is still continuing in terms of the various lines, but I can say that I'm happy to report that a considerable amount of work has been done.
This increase in cruise ship arrivals will be very lucrative for Dominica, especially all involved in the tourism industry. In more news, Chairman of the Wharton Waving Development Committee, Mr. Rudolph Judge, in an exclusive interview with SAT TV News, has confirmed that pool number 2 of the Wharton Waving Community Sulphur River Tours is now completed.
The ideas that we have is to actually enclose this pool, build a house around it, so when you come with your loved ones, you can actually have some form of privacy. So persons who pass in to go to the end of the tour will not disturb you while you're enjoying your cool and relaxing bath at the Sulphur River Tour Trail.
He noted that the first pool took approximately 1 month to construct, and this one took 2 weeks. Mr. Judge said the project was delayed due to the committee's lack of finance. However, he was pleased and elated to inform us that the tour operators are now involved in this initiative.
Are you now getting involved with the tour guide operators? Are they now assisting or working with you?
Okay, we have spoken to a few taxi drivers who has been down here, who have visited down there and fall in love with the area. And to them, that's going to be the number one area for them when this is all completed. We are hoping during the month of April, which is this month, we're going to have a familiarization tour with all the tour operators, because pool number 2 has been completed. We're just going to do some more landscaping in the area, and then when we invite the tour operators, we know that they can get something that everybody who comes here will love. So this is what we are really trying to complete, our landscaping, make sure that the area is ready, so when the tour operators come here, they can see that what we are saying is reality. And let me just say thanks to SAT, because they are really helping us to let the people out there know that what the product that we are advertising or we are going to provide to Dominica or the persons at large.
Mr. George believes that we as a people need to work together for the development of our country, and this is the reason he places a huge amount of effort into the project. The committee's target is to develop 4 pools. 2 will be for private use only, and the other 2 will be open to the public.
What's the target? How many pools are we looking to build?
We are targeting 4 pools. We have completed pool number 2. We're hoping by the middle of this month, we're going to start pool number 3, which is just a little lower down here, and pool number 4, which is going to be the biggest and the most challenging one. One of the reasons I say it's going to be the biggest, it's going to be for a group of up to 16 persons. So it's going to be a big pool. And we don't just want to make it a pool that looks like every other pool. I'm going to hold back the secret. I'm not going to tell you, but it's going to be something really unique, which real meaningful to Dominica.
Mr. George also took us to the actual sulfur spring that produces the hot water.
Okay, could you describe what we're standing in front right now?
Okay, after we have left the pool and we are now standing by the actual sulfur. This is one of the most attractive sulfur spring in the community of Wharton Waven. We have the sulfur spring on the other side where every visitor used to go. But it's not as active as this one. You can see this sulfur spring is actually boiling. It tells you that there is energy down there. And if you see something like that, you want to know what's going on. It's part of the geothermal potential.
Mr. George, along with the Wharton Waven Committee, is urging the public to contribute in this initiative. We now go to Deslin for a report.
Right now, we're at the Melville Airport for the arrival of the athletes who participated in the Carifta Games. Our athletes who participated in the 2013 Carifta Games in the Bahamas have returned to Dominique on Friday, April 5th. Miss Shani Angol, who won a bronze medal last year, brought home a gold medal this time around.
Well, I feel really good. I'm proud of myself.
The last time you brought in a bronze, so what did you do differently this time?
Well, I put more training and more effort. I train frequently, brought in the gold.
I spoke to your coach recently and he said that the next step for you is training you for the Youth Olympic Games. Are you interested? How do you feel about that?
Well, I want to excel in athletics to get sports scholarships to go to college overseas, and I feel good about that.
And lastly and not least, how do you find the entire experience participating in the games, exceeding and coming home, seeing that you have a large amount of support?
Well, the experience was what I expected, and it was good.
Miss Chelsea Linton won a bronze medal despite the fact that she was injured. Miss Linton said, although she was not satisfied with her performance due to her injury, she is certain that she will perform better in other upcoming competitions.
I am happy that I won a medal, a bronze medal at Carifta.
How did you find the experience in general?
Well, the experience was good, but my performance, I was not satisfied with it. I had an injury in my foot, so it hindered me from performing well.
Okay, so what's the next step for you?
Well, my next step is to continue my training and try to qualify for the next competitions.
How do you feel coming home and seeing everyone's here to support you?
Well, I feel proud, and I just feel proud.
Mr. Cedric Harris, president of Dominica Amateur Athletics Association, is contented with his team's performance. Mr. Harris noted that leaving Dominica has triggered several challenges for the team and they had to face a few obstacles throughout their journey.
The athletes, we try to keep them as a management team, keep them focused to the task at hand, and they go out and they delivered.
And what's the next step for the team?
Well, we're gonna try and keep our team together, keep the athletes focused. There are some other competitions in the region. There's, for example, competitions in Martinique, Guadeloupe. There is the World Youth Games, which Shani has qualified for. There's also the Pan American Junior Games later down this year. And, well, they also have coming up the Windward Island School Games, which is a number of those kids here, athletes, they are in school. So they will be preparing to get Dominica at the Windward Island School Game.
He said that Dominicans need to put a stop to the negative discussions about the team and him.
They are the best that we have. And I think as a country, you do take care of your best. For so many wrong things that are happening out there with the young people, when they do good things, we have to embrace it. We have to come out as a country and support our youth. Because we don't, we'll lose them, and we lose them for the worse. So while we have them, let us motivate them. Let us give them the encouragement that they need, and let us support them. I'm not calling any names, but some persons have already started crucifying Cedric Harris. This is not Cedric Harris. This is Dominica Youth.
Mr. Joseph Basil, the coach of the team, had this to say.
The team's performance for this Carifta was fearful. I think the athletes give what they have put in. They try their best and they go there and give their best.
Okay, you being the team coach, what would you have done differently in terms of the training procedures and routine?
Well, it's not that easy to do because the athletes come from different areas. But what could have been done was prior to the games, probably we could have a training camp or so a week or two before the games. Then it would be easier for me to identify their strength and their weakness But because we didn't have that camp, it was on spot knowing the athletes for me.
The team's therapist, Miss Nona Lawrence, believes overall the team participated very well.
As the therapist for the team, I had to attend the athletes who had aches and pains and joint problems during training and before and after competing.
Okay, Chelsea is the one that won the bronze medal, and she told us about her injury. Could you tell us a bit about that?
She came into the event with a hamstring injury, so she had competed the weekend before, and so I learned about this injury on the flight to Bahamas. She wanted to ice, but then we had a few issues with hotels and things, so she got to Bahamas with the injury. So what we were able to do was strap her down to try and limit further damage and stretch the muscles, warm her up to go and compete. But now that it's over, she will be able to take some rest and allowed to heal properly.
Well, there you have it. Shani Angol, along with the entire team, has made Dominica proud. I'm Deslyn Joseph, reporting for SAT TV News, and back to you.
Thank you, Deslyn, for that report. As part of the celebration of Cadet Week, which comes to a grand finale on Saturday, April 6th, the Dominica Cadet Corps hosted a 2-day seminar on protocol and procurement that included the participation from government official ministries and departments. The seminar was administered by Colonel Patrick Taylor, Commandant of the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, and Captain Grantley Dick, Cadet Executive Officer, Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force.
This is part of the Caribbean Cadet Association and our international exchange between countries, where we endeavor to develop the capacities both at resource and at personal level within the Caribbean. And I am extremely pleased, honored to be here to do this exercise over 2 days, and also to join with the Dominica Cadet Corps as part of their Cadet Week 2013. To date, we have completed the protocol training. We have done the first part of the strategic planning, and we are in the process of completing part 2 of the strategic planning, and today we will complete procurement.
Colonel Patrick Taylor said they also targeted theoretical knowledge on cadets so that all who attended the seminar will leave with a better understanding of what their duties entail and the various examples they are exposed to. He said the participants have been heavily engaged in this seminar, were very responsive throughout.
Protocol is critical. There's format to everything, there's form to everything. And as such, by midday yesterday, they were highly engaged in terms of rapport, question and answer, and understanding. We also brought with us a number of film that demonstrated each situation in different settings. So it was not just limited to one country, but as far as UK, United States. So they got a wide exposure to various forms of protocol that one can imagine. We also did yesterday the strategic planning, the theory and behind strategic planning, both as an individual and then as an organization.
Colonel Taylor noted this workshop can be regarded as a success as there has been the cross-fertilization of personal areas of education, including fire and police officers. The cadets can now engage each other while visualizing their relevant strengths and weaknesses. Commandant of the Dominica Cadet Corps, Mr. David Andrews, stated, since the Cadet Corps was revived in 2001 by an act passed in Parliament, they have been celebrating Cadet Day and Cadet Week annually. He said the protocol and procurement seminar was vital in observing Cadet Week, especially as they are striving to elevate the Cadet Corps to a higher level.
And in order to do so, we need to have the requisite training, the requisite skill, and the requisite human resource to take it to a higher level. So they've been helping very good in that regard. And they've come for the first time in that training, and certainly it's not going to be the last. Culminating the week, besides tonight, we are going to be on the radio where we're going to be discussing some issues regarding the Cadet Corps on the Beat program. As you know, the Cadet Corps work closely with the police here in Dominica. In fact, the commandant is a police officer, a career police officer. So you can see the partnership that is very important. Culminating the week is grand parade that draws from all the units around the island, troops and contingents into a mass parade.
This parade will take place at the Benjamin's Park in Portsmouth on Saturday, April 6th from 2:30 p.m.
At the end of the parade, which will commence with the arrival of His Excellency the President, we are going to hear speeches from the Commandant. The feature speaker is going to be our visiting Commandant from Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to have remarks from the Minister responsible for youth. We're going to have enrollment taking place at the same time, and we're going to have some promotion of officers. We'll also have the final salute, and once that is ended, we are going to have a march pass around the city or the town of Portsmouth, and that brings the curtain down on the Cadet Week's activity.
A special invitation is being sent to the public to come and support the young people in large numbers as they will be engaged in activities. And in court news, Ben Daru of Portsmouth was sentenced to 12 months imprisonment, where he faced Roseau Magistrate Ozzy Lewis on Friday, April 5th, after pleading guilty to the charge of escaping legal confinement. According to the facts of the case read by Police Prosecutor Innocent Toussaint, Daru, who is currently serving a 22-month sentence at the Stock Farm State Prison, was among other inmates attending a church service on Tuesday, March 19th. At about 2:30 p.m. the same day, as the inmates were leaving the chapel at the prison, an uproar occurred, diverting the prison officers' attention. Daru saw this as a perfect opportunity and as a result ran and jumped over the fence on the north side of the prison, passed through an open gate in the garden and fled. However, his freedom was short-lived as he was recaptured the following day, Wednesday, March 20th, by the Portsmouth Police in Sugarloaf Estate, Portsmouth. When questioned by the arresting officer, Daru said he had nothing to say. This behavior was repeated in court as he kept quiet when given the chance to explain his action in mitigation. In more court news, one man's mouth landing him in serious trouble with the law after allegedly threatening a police officer. It was reported that on March 22nd, Isaiah Joseph of Massac allegedly told Officer Ellie W. of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, and I quote, "I will chop you up in little pieces for you not to ever wear that uniform again." However, Joseph, who is represented by attorney Gildon Richards, pled not guilty. The trial has been set for October 24th, 2013. In related court news, Stephen Laura of Yampis will have some time to think of his actions as he was denied bail by Magistrate Ozzy Lewis when he appeared on Friday, April 5th. The prosecutor Innocent Toussaint objected to bail as the victim is still a patient at the Princess Margaret Hospital for an incident that occurred on March 23rd. Laura was charged with grievous bodily harm to Patrickson Vaven, a charge he pled not guilty to. The trial has been set for August 19th, 2013. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.